Welcome to the first podcast of 2020. Before we start, I would like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, downloading, and you've no idea how much this means to me. Podcast is just over a year old. It's enabled me to connect with incredible individuals, and it's also enabled me to challenge many deep-rooted fears that I've had about public speaking. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you're enjoying or getting any value from these podcasts, please pop over to iTunes and leave a review. Now, the first podcast of 2020, I hope, is going to be a really good one for you guys. It's with a very inspiring gentleman called JP. JP is a transformational coach. Last year, he was involved in an accident that nearly took his life. And our podcast today is focusing on his journey and his plans for the future. Enjoy.
You're listening to the Simply Flawsome Show, a podcast designed for you to listen, learn, and leverage. Please welcome your host, Zoe Turner.
Hey everyone, JP here, and I'm with my friend Zoe Turner in Dubai. I'm actually on her podcast right now. As you can see, I don't usually have one of these mics, but we've been trying to get this podcast together for since September, and we have a lot of synchronicities. Perfect time to say that. We have similar energies, so I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm gonna be in her world, in her environment, but I just wanted to share it with you. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, JP.
Awesome.
My intention for today's chat with JP is to really talk about his journey over the last year. A few other questions thrown in there too, but really more about your journey, what you've been through, the lessons that you've learned from it. First of all, for my audience, for the people listening to the podcast who have not heard of you, don't know who you are, you've been in Dubai, you've been doing an event with Najari. Can you tell us a little bit about that event before we go into what happened to you last year?
Yeah, so first of all, it's Najahi events, and they really are my family. Najahi stands for My Success, and they are the number one facilitator for personal development events in the UAE. And I'm one of their speakers, and I was doing a workshop, a 2-hour workshop for a bigger event where I'm speaking. So it was an intro to the value and an intro to the bigger program, where I will be speaking alongside Kenya Alicia Minkus, Les Brown and Ona Brown, Dr. John DiMartini, John Asaraf, and Lisa Nichols. So that's why I was here. But the reason why I was able to make it work was because I was also coming not only as an educator and a teacher, I was coming to Dubai to be a student. So you and I are both on the same course right now, which is how we were able to make this happen.
And that's what I love about you, the fact that you are always following your journey over the last year, and especially after your accident. One thing I've noticed that you've been going a lot to educational events. So how important is education to you?
I actually put something on social media the other day, I don't know if you saw it, and I said, you're only as good as a teacher as you are a student, or you're only as good a teacher as you are a student. I don't speak that good England. So I don't want to sound like speakery. There's no reason why I am today, or why I have spoken in 15 countries and coached amazing people, other than I was committed to making it happen. I was committed to myself. I heard something today that Dr. Joe Dispenzer said, and he said it's you showing up for you, or something like that, you showing up for yourself. And that's all I've ever done, is showed up for myself. So I never want to get to stagnant, to plateau, and for that reason, I keep showing up for myself in the areas of self and situational awareness. Awareness is what we need to change. If you're not aware, you can't change anything. So I'm always seeking awareness through education.
Has the importance of education been highlighted more to you since your accident? Have you needed that mentally?
Yes. My recovery from my accident was looked at as miraculous.
Going back, I think we should actually tell people what's happened.
Oh yeah, sorry. So yeah, they know. Yeah.
Your audience will know, but my audience.
Yes. So I have been in sport and fitness my whole life. I've always liked doing physical challenges. It started when I was a teenager. I cycled 200 miles. Then it was the Great Wall of China. Then it was Thai boxing in Thailand. And I want to say this year, in 2019, I decided to cycle from the north to the south of the UK. So going through Scotland, touching on Wales and going to the bottom of England. And I was on the 8th day, 800 and something miles, and I was hit head on by an unfit to drive driver, let's just say that, because it's still very much going on. And I broke my legs in multiple places. I flew 100 meters off the side of the road, got stopped by a tree. My bike was shattered in 20 pieces. I had punctured lung, heart trauma, perforated bowel, broken arm, snapped twice, snapped femur, snapped shin 3 times. Doctor said you're very lucky to be alive. But to go back to what I was saying, my recovery was seen as something remarkable and wow. And people were like, oh, you're recovering too fast. Like, it's been 5 months. You shouldn't be where you are. My lawyers said to me that are handling my case, said, JP, we're not kidding you, that in 7 months, you are recovered more than anyone we've ever had as a client. Usually people are where you are 2 years after an accident, but it's not a coincidence. It's because of everything I've learned my whole life. Like, I swear my wife must get so annoyed with me because I'm always learning. I'm always studying. If I'm at home, I have a YouTube video on, a podcast on, an audio book on. I'm always learning. So to be able to take or already to be able to be committed to learning because I understand the importance of it, but then to be put in a situation where you're deep in a valley, deep in a challenge, and be able to rely on those tools to a point that even when you are close to your death, you have no uncertainty about your recovery. That just reminded me that, hey, I just got to keep studying. The one thing that was missing from my life was I teach self-mastery. That's what I've done from personal trainer to coach, life coach, peak performance, how to master yourself. But for most of my adult life, I've taught mind and body. But I knew that my next evolution was in heart mastery. That's why I did the Vipassana meditation. That's why I'm here with you at Dr. Joe Dispenzer at an event called Higher Love. Because that for me is my next, I added to my question, or your question, but that for me is the next level of education, is being able to not just transform people's bodies and minds, but heal their hearts.
Why is it important to heal your heart? Why have you gone from mind and body to heart healing?
Because I'm going to say the blanket version, which is you can push your mind and have the best body in the world. If you still have wounds from your past, you'll never truly leave them behind. So that's a true fact, right? You can look it up. You can look into healing and emotional trauma. But also I know that from my own personal experience. I truly believe this, that I had to have that accident because I was very good at being successful, inspiring from stage. I've had a great physique my whole life because I always train. I can push my body and my mind, but I always kept myself very, very, very busy. Because if I wasn't busy, I'd have to think about everything that I was suppressing. So many people listening to this will resonate with this. As long as you're busy being busy, or even busy being successful, you don't have to feel that much. So over the last 6-7 years, I've started to slowly get into meditation, into yoga, and the more I slow down, the more I was able to see the truth. Truth has become one of my highest values today. To explain slowing down and seeing the truth, I have a story or an example that I use. Imagine doing the Virgin train or any fast or bullet train, and you're going from London to Manchester. It's an amazing experience. Even if you're sitting in first class, which I love to do, you feel amazing and you know where you're going and you're traveling fast and you've got all the nice clothes on, but you can't see what's really going on around you because everything's a blur. Because you're so focused on your work or, your next meal coming or, where you've got to get your next meal or finishing as much work as you can before you get your meeting. It isn't until you slow down or even the train breaks down and stops and sits still, i.e. meditation, right? This is a metaphor for life, that you can actually see the truth, which is what's going on around you. And how do you feel if you're not heading anywhere?
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? This is something that I was thinking about the other day, and it's just come to me now. Do you think that endurance sport can be a mask for emotional problems? Because like yourself, I wasn't a great athlete, but I did a lot of endurance, a lot of marathons, every weekend ever since I moved to Dubai. And before that, I moved to Dubai in 2010. Friday, Saturday, I'm up at 4, 5, 6 o'clock doing like long races, and you don't give your body chance to slow down because it's just bang, bang, bang. And the time that you are recovering, you're just mentally exhausted. I became addicted to that mental exhaustion. And I didn't feel that I truly worked out unless, it's a great feeling. Don't get me wrong. It's a wonderful feeling. You can eat a pizza, or you can watch 3 movies, you can do a hat trick, and you feel like you've earned it. Doesn't really enable you to, I'm not sure if I'm explaining this properly, but I don't think it enables you to slow down and really kind of feel things. And it was only when I stopped training excessively a couple of years ago. Obviously training's always going to be in your heart and soul if you've done it a lot, but it's only then that I feel that I'm connecting more with my true self.
So, you didn't even need to elaborate on that. What you said before was, do you think that endurance sports or any hardcore sports is a way for you masking what's really going on? The answer is it can be. Yes, absolutely. So for anyone that's doing a lot of sport, I would recommend this. Ask yourself, when you're not in sport, how do you feel? That's a very important question, because if you feel like you need, exercise makes me feel good, but when I'm not exercising, I generally feel good too. I love speaking, I love doing podcasts, I love doing Facebook Lives, so I don't have to be in fitness all the time. But when I had my accident, I'm sure you were aware of who David Goggins is.
Of course.
Okay, so the most extreme iron person in the world is this guy named David Goggins, an ultra endurance athlete. 4 weeks after my accident, 4 weeks after I left hospital, something like that, a few weeks, I was still on a lot of morphine. But I knew that David was coming to London to speak for the very first time, and I had to get there. Anyway, I pumped loads of morphine and gabapentin in my body, and I got a ride to London in a car. I had a wheelchair waiting for me, and I was able to get to an event with David Goggins, stayed just for his talk, not the 2 days, just stayed for an hour. And then I was able to go into a conference room like the one we're in right now, and I had a sit down with David. I was gifted it from my friend, Nick James. He gifted me a one-to-one really with David Goggins, even though there were other people there. And I was able to share my story. And David Goggins said to me this, because my question to him was, I want to go and show the world how you can turn this around, how I can turn this around. It can be inspiring, and I want to do an Ironman in 4 months. Have you got any advice for me? How can I be David Goggins in my attitude and recover super quick? And he said to me, not what I thought.
What did he say?
He said, JP, you're like me. He said, your fuel is fitness. It's your medicine. He said, all these stories about me, the ultra runs, the broken shins, the broken feet, taping my feet to my shins so I could keep running. But what you don't know is between those extraordinary events, I would spend 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 6 years at one point, not doing anything. So you see me doing these amazing things, but there were times where I couldn't do anything. And he said, let me tell you something. That's who I figured out who I really was. And he said, do this. He said, set challenges, but don't put a date on it. He said, right now, he said, stop taking the medicine. And excuse my language. Can I use David Goggins' language? No? Okay. He said, then you'll see who you really fucking are. And that was like in my throat, because I knew he was right. I've always done this stuff, so let me see who I am. And actually, if David ever watches this, or Nick James ever watches this, or listens to this, I just want to say thank you, because that was the greatest advice that I needed, because it made me slow down and stop and realize that, hey, for me, the next level is growing my heart, not my body, not my mind. And that's all I've been doing this year. And it's been beautiful. It has been beautiful. And I've changed as a person. So, short answer, it can be a way for people to block out what's really going on. So my question to you as a coach, anyone listening, would be, do you need to feel good, or do you need to do exercise to feel good, or do you just enjoy doing it? And if you only feel good when you do exercise, you should really speak to someone about that. Go to an event, see a coach, get a mentor, whatever, because that's a problem. You shouldn't need an experience or an external environment outside of yourself to feel good.
I think we are specifically talking more about kind of endurance here, I think, aren't we? So there's like exercise and there's endurance. Like endurance is kind of the crazy exercise, isn't it?
So hours.
So
basically.
But I think it's still important to cultivate energy on a daily basis. Could be a half an hour walk.
What I mean is long periods of exercise. So like 2 hours of running every day, or 3 hours of swimming, or anything long, and you keep going because you just want those endorphins to keep firing up your brain, or your pineal gland, to keep firing.
I'm getting excited. You're just talking about it. I do miss endurance. I miss that. For me, it was that mental. My mate used to say to me, I trained with him. I never did Comrades, but I used to train with my mate who ran Comrades every year. And I used to do the long 30k runs with him. And he'd often say to me, Zoe, you kick in at 15k. And I was like, I know. So we're getting to 15k where most people are tired. I'm like, I know, I love it.
I love it. My second wind comes like 2 hours.
Yeah. So, JP.
To flip that around, sorry, can I just say, to anyone that has a mental or emotional situation and you want to find a solution, it's get into momentum, get moving. It really works. I'll put my hand up and say, I'm not saying it's healthy, but I'm saying I've got through so much suffering by getting out of my own way and putting my shoes on, metaphorically and literally speaking, and going for a run. It's really fueled me, but it's a short-term fix. You can't do it forever.
Yeah, 100%. Dr. Joe says gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. What are you grateful for today?
What I'm grateful for is honestly being here in this experience. We're in a 7-day fully immersive, heart-altering, heart-opening experience with Dr. Joe Dispenzer in Dubai, and it just makes me feel very grateful to be alive. Obviously, my accident took my gratitude to another level, and it's so unfortunate that we need to experience death to be reminded of life, or how grateful we are for life. But it did happen to me. But I'm also very gifted that most people know that a near-death experience changes people. So I now have a gift as a teacher, as an educator, as a speaker, that 99.999% of the world will never ever have, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to be able to share it here with you. I'm grateful to be able to share it with people at my own events and in my coaching. And so I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this event. I'm grateful to be alive.
It's definitely happened for a reason with you. You were equipped with all of these skills to be able to kind of assist you with your recovery, but it's also, like you say, it's taken your skills to the next level as well. And you've already got a platform to inspire, to help others. And, for you to share your experience with your audience is going to help so many people. And I think just people watching your journey, like I've watched it on Instagram, like, I think we've felt your pain with you, when you've been trying to get up off your chair and seeing you go into these events and, seeing that you're in a lot of pain. And, it's been, it's been kind of, at times it's been uncomfortable watching the pain, probably not as uncomfortable as your situation, but, it's so inspiring to see, and to see you come out the other side. But even more so, it's great to see you have that spark in you, that glint in your eye, which I've seen during this, that smile and that glint. And I don't know, it's just really nice thing to see.
Thank you so much. I would say yes, thank you. The reason why I have the glint, the smile, my heart wide open is because my life has never been about me. And some people might not even understand that, never mind argue that. But from when I was a kid, at 10 years old, I almost went to foster care. We were getting food hampers every Friday from my auntie. I was wearing my older cousin's clothes. My younger brothers were wearing my clothes. Like, things were tough. But there was a moment when I was 10 years old that I'll never, ever forget. And it was the first moment of me being connected to God or the universe or source. And it was me giving my lunch sandwich from school, a white bread sandwich with strawberry jam in tinfoil, giving it to a homeless man. And I just can't describe it. I can tell you exactly where we were sitting, the color of the grass, what he was wearing. And I've always lived my life to serve others, and as an altruist. I am an altruist. Not at the expense of myself. I won't go that far, because for me to lead and serve to the highest degree, I need to take care of myself. But I definitely live an altruistic life in that I live for others, and I do everything that I can for others and to help others. So when I woke up in intensive care after 2 weeks, and I knew that I was going to be on a journey, I just made a decision that this is not about me. It's about everyone else. I know that people are watching me from all over the world, and teenage kids that have legs missing, and people in their 30s that have had bad car accidents. And I now have a new ability to influence people. I've been through emotional stuff, financial stuff, but I've never been through a physical challenge. So I thought, how awesome. Now I can help physically challenged people too. Thank you, universe. So that just made me really excited. My reach, my ability to inspire and influence and make a footprint in the world just went up like a whole nother notch.
Yeah, thank you. You've already spoken about how near-death experiences are very profound, and a lot of people, when they're placed or they're in a situation like that, they turn to kind of higher sources. Did it? You're a religious man. Were you thinking about, did you ever think about God or anything like that?
So, good questions. So first of all, no, I'm not a religious man, but way before this accident, I grew up as a Baptist Christian, but when I was 13 years old, my younger brother said, I don't believe that this is how it is. And that I just was told that this is how, life is. This is, heaven, hell, burning in fire, all that stuff. And when my brother started to question that, I thought, okay, hang on, if he's questioning whether it's true or not, I started to question it. And then when I was 20, I moved to the UK, and I experienced all different religions, all different cultures. And I thought, who's right and who's wrong? And then I thought, hang on, if I lived in the UK, if I was born in the UK with a twin brother, and my mother had to give us up for adoption, which my real mother almost did when we were 10, and my brother and I got, at 1 year old, got separated, and I moved to Iran or whatever, Iraq, and some kind of Arab country, and my brother stayed in the UK, we could potentially end up wanting to kill each other just because of rules or conditioning that we've been told. So when I realized that, I thought, it doesn't make sense to me, but I understand faith. And I think everyone in the world has to have faith, whether it's Mother Nature, whether it's the divine, whether it's God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna. It doesn't matter who you follow. I think it's important to understand that life is more than you, because if you're in yourself, you'll always feel separated. You'll never feel connected to something greater, and connection is the number one value or need that we have as human beings. You need to feel connected to something. That's why if someone doesn't have connection in their life, you can pull them to crime, to gangsterism, if that's a word, to extreme activities, because what they find in that is a sense of connection. So I thought, okay, faith is very important, but the rules behind religion cause separation. So it caused you to say, we're here and you're over there. So I became fascinated with a religion. I've studied a little bit the Quran. I still look at the Bible. I've studied the Tao and the 81 verses of the Tao. And I'm very much into Buddhism, because really Buddhism is just a way of life. It's just saying this is how we choose to live, to be grateful, to not harm others, to be respectful, to not lie, to speak truthfully. So I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I'm fascinated by all religions. And I want to live in a world one day when I can sit with a Buddhist and my Islam brother or sister and and a Hare Krishna, and we can all sit and be respectful of each other's faiths, but at the same time feel like we're one, because we are one. We all come from the same place. So I'm conscious of time. So
yeah, definitely. How long have we been chatting? Oh, 27. Oh, it says 27 on there. How long have we been recording on your Facebook? Hi, everybody.
We've lost connection now, unfortunately.
Oh, have we? Not live anymore?
No, it's still live. It's just it'll come back. But,
okay.
I think about half an hour. I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to ask another question?
Yeah.
Sorry, we need to be heading somewhere out after this.
I would like to ask another question, and I know the answer to this, but it's a question I would like to ask you. Do you think that it's possible to heal yourself with the mind? And I'm being more specific about your situation. Like, you've experienced some really challenging injuries that, like you say, the lawyers would say, any normal person, it would take them a long time to recover. Do you think it's possible to heal your body with your mind?
So I do think it's possible. I think it's, more importantly, I think it's a must. I think if you're just waiting to heal yourself physically, you're not going to make the most of that healing. To get to a breakthrough, sometimes you need to get to a breakdown. And so, I truly believe that an injury can be one of your greatest gifts, because it allows you time to rebuild yourself, but in a stronger way, where you're conscious. When you're born into this world, you're just born into this world. You don't have a decision to say, I'm going to focus on, having really strong legs or having a really strong gut, etc., etc. So I think if you get ill, if you break something, this is an opportunity for you to create an incredible breakthrough, but you have to do it by paying attention to what you're going through. People say focus on your healing or focus on your recovery. For me, there's two meanings to focus. Focus is a two-part focus. Focus is a two-part focus. One is intention, and that's the desired outcome that you wish to have. So my intention is to get fully healed, back to being an Ironman, back to being an athlete, etc., etc. And the first part of focus is intention. Be very, very clear on your intention. And intention doesn't come from your body. It comes from your mind. You have to take the intention and place it in your body, in your mind, in your heart, and say, this is what I want, this is who I want to be, this is what I want to have. Then once you have the intention very clear, you then have to go to the second part of focus, which is attention. And then you just stay in your attention. Now, attention can be your next move, right? Like Martin Luther King Jr. said, you don't have to see the whole staircase, you just have to take the next step or the first step. So your attention, once your intention is clear in your mind, you then have to take one step at a time towards that intention. So, it has to be in the mind, your transformation and your recovery and your healing. But also your attention could be on something that we've been so immersive in this week, which is meditation. Which is your breath, focusing on the areas that you need to heal. So once again, when you say, heal yourself or change your body through your mind, it's not just using some personal development trick or tool. It's actually saying, in my case today, I did a meditation earlier, and unfortunately, where I broke my femur, I had a metal rod put in from my hip. So they went through the top of my hip bone, my thigh bone, and they put a metal rod all the way through my bone down to my knee. And then there's 2 screws at the bottom. And I don't know how, but these screws have started to agitate my leg. And my leg is completely swollen right now. Like, if you feel that lump. Yeah. And that's just started to act up this morning. So I said, okay, I need healing here. But if I'm not putting my mind on this or my heart on this, depending on how spiritual you are, I can't expect it to heal. And I also don't want to focus on it with my mind in a negative way. Woe's me. This proves that I'll never get back to who I used to be. So all I did was I said, okay, my intention is to heal my leg. So my attention for the next hour is going to be sending positive energy through my body. And I can give example after example after example. But the short answer to your question is, you should aim to go into your mind first to heal your body, or your heart or your emotions or your wounds. And then you should say, okay, what is my desired outcome for my healing? What is it? Do you just want to heal to be average, or do you want to turn your life around through your healing? What's the intention? Get very clear on that. Be able to write it out on a blackboard or a whiteboard. And then once that's clear, you know it. You don't need to go back to it anymore. Then go to the second part of focus, which is attention, and say, where do I need to put my mind today for me to go through this healing? And then do it one day at a time. You change, this is a great quote of mine that's very well known. You change your life one day at a time.
Thank you, JP. Thank you guys for listening right to the end. Please pop over to iTunes and leave a review, hopefully a 5-star review, and I look forward to bringing you the next podcast out in a couple of days' time. Take care.